Hey, so here are 20 useful chords that are used across about 30 different Phish songs, part 2. We're going to start with an open D major chord, and we'll put the chord diagram up here on the screen for you. We're going to start with an open D major that's in My Friend, after the opening descending licks that go here, D. So it's that D here with that little bit of a sus lick. Another open chord is an A major that Trey uses in the build-up to I Ought to See the Man Mulcahy in Character 0. So that's one song where you could use an open A major. Next is a good old-fashioned E power chord. We're going to take this E power chord, and it's kind of an open chord too, because we're going to have open strings on the low E, the B, and the high E strings, like Trey uses in the song Horn after that wonderfully cool lick. Technically, it's a power chord because it's only got 1s and 5s in it. E, E, B, E, B, E. Really resonant drone type of sound. Another tune where it uses a power chord on that same 5th string root is the tune Tweezer when they go to the 4 chord. Before he does that fun part with the tapping or whatever that is. So that's a D power chord on the 5th string. Next up is an open A minor chord. It's the 2nd chord in the chorus of Waste, where he sings, "Come waste your time with me." Open G major, open A minor. He uses that same chord in a similar progression in the song Piper, and that's either an A minor or an A minor 7. I think it's just an A minor. You can see on the acoustic version that he plays, I believe, just an A minor. Piper, Piper, the red, red worm, woke last night to the sound of the storm. Words are words I sailed upon. Now we're going to move to a more complicated chord, a bar chord. We're going to play this B flat bar chord, which is featured in Reba after the intro when they go right into the singing. It's the 5 chord in the key of E flat. They start on this little F octave lick. Reba sink a boulder in the water, and there's your B flat. Reba tie a cable to a tree, big B flat there. Another Phish song where Trey uses a bar chord is the chorus in Axel, or maybe it's the bridge, the Don't Shine That Light in My Face Man section off of the Axela Part 2 version on Hoist. And he arpeggiates those. That's just a G major bar chord, 6th string root down to an F sharp. Now we're going to move to a dyad, aka a 2-note chord. Now, a 2-note chord doesn't necessarily have the characteristics of a triad, which is a 3-note chord, major, minor, diminished, or augmented. However, we can pick any 2 notes from a triad and basically call it a dyad. And in this case, in the tune Jesus Just Left Chicago, where the band is kind of pedaling on a G, that shuffle kind of 12/8 blues feel, Trey's playing this. He might be doing just the 1 note, but I'm pretty sure he's doing the dyad 2 notes. And that's a G major dyad without the G in it. There's the D in the bass, so technically it's in second inversion. D in the bass and a B up top. And he moves that up the scale. Just 1 step though. Another example of dyads are in gaiuti. We're going to play 10th fret and then 8th fret from the 3rd to 2nd string. And we're going to bend that 10th fret up a whole step. So basically bending that F up to a G while holding the G, the big peaking bend section where Trey plays. Those are dyads because they're 2 notes and you're doing this little technique, this action of bending the bottom note up to the top note while keeping the top note ringing. So here's a basic triad that could be considered a bar chord because you're barring with your 3rd finger, but I just play frets 2, 4, 4, 4 from the 5th to 2nd strings with that major 3rd up in the melody of the chord in the song Ocelot. Ocelot, Ocelot, where have you gone? Here's a minor triad on the third string root that is the third chord in the descending free lick. That E minor triad, you got 1 flat 3 5. It's a really lovely chord for playing funk music to comp to. Kind of like a James Brown kind of feel. You can also use the flat 7 and the major 6 in there to get a little bit of an Afrobeat feel. Now let's move to an inversion. We're going to use the go section of Harry Hood, and it's the second and third chords that he plays in that section, where Trey plays a major triad in second inversion, the fifth in the bass. In this case, it'll be an A over E, with the bass note being on the third string. So go. So that second chord there does a little sus lick there with the pinky. And you'll see that voicing across quite a few Phish songs. Now let's move to one of my favorite songs, Way. Trey plays in the chorus when it resolves to the 1. It's kind of a jazz chorus, a bona fide 2-5-1. Why wait on a sunny day? There's an E major 7 there that he plays, and it's what we call a shell voicing, so it's only got the 1, the 3, and the 7, and there's no 5 in there. And it's a really nice voicing. You could play this one, kind of like the Lawn Boy shape, but this one, it's kind of funky and jazzy the way that they play it. Now we're going to play a D major chord with an add 9. It's not a D major 9 because there's no major 7 in it, so we're going to call it a D major add 9 or a D add 9, and it's up here. And it's kind of like that. In the last video, I talked about the second chord of Divided Sky, which is the same chord, and the E was up here on the 12th fret. Now we're going to let that open, and you're going to get the second chord that Trey plays in Rogay, however you pronounce that. Slightly different than it's putting that 9 up the octave. Really lovely sound with that very ethereal drone sound of the D major 9 in Rogay. Speaking of add chords, we're going to do a D major add 11, and it's the chord that gets vamped in the intro of If I Could. It's that second chord, not the first one. Right, so you got a D and F sharp, so that makes it a D major. And then there's a G there, which is your 11, or your 4, but we'll call it an 11. And then you have another 1 up top. It's actually going from a D major 9/11, or add 9, add 11, to just a D major add 11. That's got a really beautiful sound. Now, one of the funkiest Phish songs, Moma Dance, we get to play this E flat minor 7 with this voicing. We're going to play it on the 4th string. It goes 1 flat 3 flat 7. Again, another shell voicing. There's no 5th in there. And I should use a wah pedal. Here's a G minor 6 chord that Trey uses in the You Enjoy Myself jam. You can definitely hear this on the Junta album. They're playing a 1-4 from like G minor to C7, but instead of a bona fide C7 for that second chord, Trey will play a G minor 6 with this voicing. So kind of alternating from a G minor 7 from this shape to this shape. Again, more of that kind of funky James Brown or Afrobeat sound. Now we're going to move to an E7, just an E dominant 7 chord. And in the chorus of Fly Famous Mockingbird, which goes, Fly Famous Mockingbird, fly dominant 7 on the 5th string root. When I'm teaching it to my beginner students, I call it the Creedence shape, like Creedence Clearwater Revival, because of the song Born on the Bayou. They use that chord. Really popular in jazz and blues. Another open version of that E dominant 7 you can hear Trey use in Chalk Dust Torture. That first chord there. One of the funkiest Phish songs, Trey uses a G9 chord. That's a G dominant with a 9, G dominant 7 with a 9. Up here, again, we call this the James Brown chord. He plays it in Meet after the intro. And that's it, basically the whole song. Great tune. He also uses that same shape in the song Way. Right there. The next chord we're going to use is a C7 sharp 9, way up here in 14th position. We're going to go 15, 14, 15, 16 with the 5th string as the root. And it's the second chord on the You Enjoy Myself Jam on the Junta album version, once again. The second chord in the jam. He does a little slide up there, and you get that kind of chaotic sound. It's almost an out-of-place chord in a typical 1-4 progression in like a Dorian feel like they're doing. But that just makes it sound a little bit dissonant, and it sounds kind of cool. Pulling from the song Waste, the final chord before he goes to the 4 chord in the main theme, you got your D, D major 7, D dominant 7 with that massive stretch, D7 sus4, D7, and then you got that D7 sus2. In the tune Lizards, when we get to passing through the corridor, I came upon an aging knight who leaned against the wall in gnarly armor. That chord right there, which is a little bit of a transition chord to he was on his way to see the king, or whatever the next line is lyrically. He plays this F sharp half diminished on the 4th string as the rooted note. It's a cool voicing of that chord. It goes 1, flat 5, flat 7, flat 3rd. Beautiful sound. Staying with Gamehenge Phish, in the song Colonel Forbin's Ascent, the very second chord of the intro is an A fully diminished 7. So we play an A flat major to start. Here it is. Now, the jury's out. I'm not sure if he plays the root with the thumb on the bass. He might not, because Gordo is probably playing the A itself, but you can play that, especially if you're not playing with a bass player, or you could just play, that'd be an A fully diminished 7. And last but not least, one of the most dissonant chords is an augmented triad, like this one, that Page plays in the opening note of Fuego. You can also hear Trey play a G augmented 7, which might be in 3rd inversion like this, at the end of that bend section in Gaiuti. I'm dancing like a newborn elf. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of this video. If you're interested in Zoom guitar lessons, I do have some spots available. Please send me an email or click any of the links below. And be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Take care.